Alright, so this video is the cross this bridge principle. To cross this bridge means basically to focus on the thing that is at hand. If you have something that's going to come up that you know might, you imagine that it will be fearful or difficult or, whatever, for whatever reason you're having anxiety about it. A lot of times if we get caught up in 7 or 8 or 12 bridges down the road because we've heard something about how bad they might be, or we have this imagination of what size they might be and the angles and how long it might take to get across, just focus on the bridge that is close to you, the next step that you need to take. If you focus on this bridge, cross this bridge, you will make more progress, and you'll find out that, fear, false evidence appearing real, the acronym, what's that? There's another quote about, what was it? Most of the fears I've or the worry that I've experienced in my life never came true. Something, I forget who said that one, but that's real. Like, some of my biggest worries never turned out to be anything real. A lot of times along the way, we forget that, like, even if a bridge in the future seems intimidating, we forget that along the way we're gonna find skills, we're going to develop skills from the progress that we have made in between now and that 12th bridge. Skills, supplies, will grow bigger muscles, we'll have more faith, we'll have more success under our belt, whatever that thing is. The doom that from our perspective now may that other, is that Carrie Underwood song about the hill that we've been climbing, it just as a grain of sand. So, I mean, that seems overwhelming as the, new Bambi, like new colt or deer right out of your mom. You're trying to get your feet under you and you're scared because you don't feel like you're trained and you're this massive beast, whatever, version that is. So just cross this bridge and let some of the bridges you are worried about in the future, the one with the fire on it, or the whatever, it's got alligators below it, and I mean, you may choose another route, or you may have a freaking missile launcher to blow up all the sharks underneath it, or the alligators, or the trolls underneath. You might have flamethrowers or a force field, or you just don't know what can become available to you from between now and then. So get across this bridge, because that, if you get stuck and you just sit at this bridge 1 and you're like just sitting there crying because you're afraid, who knows what opportunities and what growth and joy you could have along the way after you get through this, just this bridge, how much joy you may have, and how much motivation and routine, and what you'll learn about making progress, the diligence that you learn, the people that you meet. There's just so many variables and factors. You might you might come up with a team. You got all kinds of scenarios that could happen. You might have someone that's in your team that's a Judas Iscariot. Go to the next bridge. Like, what is the next bridge? No matter who, you don't know who is loyal. You don't know who your friends are. Just 1,000 different possibilities for something to go wrong. But if you just will focus especially when you project out into who knows how many layers and levels of bridges and directions, and just you just don't know what you're gonna have till you get there. So if you have, a lot of times you have something now that's actionable, that makes sense, that's smart, that you don't have to get a degree for. You don't have to. Sometimes we overcomplicate things. Sometimes it's just putting one foot in front of the other and like letting where you're at be okay. We expect ourselves to be freaking geniuses, like we're going to have all the answers, when like we're acting like we should know every trick in the book of how to maneuver when we're still getting our feet under us. Like, you can shoot yourself in the foot by expecting too much of yourself when you're too young. Like, be okay. Like, there's so much, with apps. Like, so apps, for an example, apps are a dollar sometimes for this freaking gorgeous. Maybe it costs 100,000. I mean, who knows, depending on the complexity. But you never know how much that app costs them. And you think, oh, it must just be a cheap thing. It must be easy because it's only $1. It's just there's different things like that we've created a standard for. Music, lyrics, the talent, that $1.29 song from iTunes does not show. It's not a fair measurement of how complicated developing a skill must be. And then you think, well, if it doesn't come easy, then it's just not me. We're so afraid to fail. You could fall off into the water where the sharks are and get missing a leg and still have joy in your journey, and go to the next bridge. You could crawl out, and you could, heard of a guy that tore his arms off. I mean, sorry, that's pretty, but he was out at a farm and somehow got his arms stuck in the machinery, and he got a pencil with his freaking teeth and dialed 911 and saved his own life. Like, sometimes you have to be that hero. It's easy to get discouraged if we rely on everybody else, but we think, well, nobody's reliable, or we blame all these other things, and the thing that we're not taking responsibility for is what's the next bridge. So I came up with a kind of they have those, like, what is it, process, cycle, whatever. So you come up with an idea, you take an action. With that action, you either succeed or you fail underneath. So you got success or failure. And then what do? Whether you fail or you succeed, you come up with another idea and try it. And then you either succeed or fail. So just keep doing that process. And it's just ideas. You never, stop thinking that you have to know everything and that you have to be successful, because you may not be successful. It might take a while. All the times that, the KFC Colonel took whatever it was, over 1,000 times of rejection to sell his, that's vision, that's persistence, that's believing in how much passion you would have to have for your stinking recipe. You think that who could have dogged on him and said, you know what, you are stupid. You're wasting your time over a stupid recipe that does not matter. Doesn't matter. How many KFCs are there? It mattered to him. He had passion and he cared. Some of our ideas that we give up early on and discourage ourselves on and listen to the critics and listen to the naysayers, and sometimes we're our worst critic and our biggest naysayer, or we let someone barely nudge us and be a little bit rude, and now they must be right, and then we just wanted some company with our disbelief and our uncertainty about ourselves, our self-doubts, and so somebody confirmed it, and we're good luck getting the motivation back. So, I mean, there's 100 other things. And there's a few stories, the light bulb, there's some different stories out there that we know of that are like commonplace. But what about the millions of stories we do not know of people being persistent, innovative, and having success? And it doesn't mean that you have to be famous. Your idea that you have to become famous for this to mean something. These are principles that are illustrated, that are good examples. You can be famous to your family and teach them principles by example. And yeah, in writing, journals. Anyways, so cross this bridge and let the future plop you out on the other side. Let the process plop you out, mangled or beautiful, whatever it does to you, but just work with what you've got. All you've got is the ability to move forward. And just be patient with that process. You can always find a simpler bridge, but figure out what it is for you right now and cross it and be okay with it. So hope that's inspiring. Have a good one. Talk to you later.